You might not agree with them on politics at all, but you might look at the story and be like, that's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
So funny, your Cufflinks, so they were the elephant. So this blog called, you know Rhino is, Republican in name only? This blog called me the Rhino Herder Extraordinaire a few years ago, so my wife bought me these. I thought it was funny looking at your elephants.
Yeah, I got the elephants.
Yeah, I got some elephants too, but my wife was like, no, this fits you more, your Rhino.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Spill the Beans. Today I'm sitting down with my buddy Wesley Donehue, who's in another mastermind with me. Met him at another mastermind up in Ohio, and he's actually from Charleston, South Carolina. So I was like, dude, we got to sit down. We got to talk shop. He's got a really cool business that does media and advertising for politicians. And I think it could be easily translated into a lot of the other stuff that we have going on in business. So you guys are going to love this episode. He's got a big book coming out also, talking about how to kind of cover your ass in the world of cancel culture. So he's got a bunch of good insights. So hope you guys love the episode. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below what your biggest takeaway is as we're going along. Wesley, what's up, homie?
What's up, man?
How you doing, dude?
Good to see you.
Dude, looking sharp, man, like a true Charlestonian.
That's right.
Dude, first of all, great to have you here, and excited to kind of sit down. I know we've been able to hang out, and we're in a mastermind together, and spend some time on the golf course. Neither of us shooting well at all, but got to know your business a little bit, and I want to know more about it. I think what you do is like really interesting. It's outside of the norm of the normal like real estate stuff that I'm typically talking about.
Yeah.
And I think there's some really cool things that maybe some things that we might be able to pull from what you do and then implement it in the real estate industry, or at 100%. Least in entrepreneurship as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, dude, how did you become an entrepreneur? I know we talked briefly about this, but like you didn't mean to become like an entrepreneur.
No, it was accident, man. I'm an accidental entrepreneur. So I'm a political consultant by trade. And I don't like to tell people that because, you know, anytime you're anywhere, people ask you what you do, you say you're in politics. And as divisive as this country is right now, you can either get yelled at or get sucked into a 2-hour conversation about politics. But I started doing politics when I was 15 down here. And about 12 years ago, I was working for a political consulting firm, and I wanted to do things different. They didn't really believe in social media. They thought it was a fad. So I knew that was the direction that really everything was going. So I went out on my own and started my own company as a one-man shop. And then, you know, brought clients on, then you had to hire someone. Then more clients, someone else. More clients, someone else. And before you knew it, I was at, 20 employees, and I was more of I was on a daily basis doing more business stuff than I was actually running political campaigns. Today we're over 40 people, and it's gotten to the point where I barely even touch the political campaigns unless it's like a large U.S. Senate race, maybe a big governor's race, an important congressional race. But now my job is just running a company. Running the company. Bought a big mansion right down here on East Bay Street, man. I'm excited about that, man. 208 years old, renovating it right now. Should be done in December. Have a big party you can come to whenever it's finally done.
Oh, I'm in.
It's exciting.
If you got free food and free drinks, I'm going to be there, all right?
You know, I own a brewery here in town, so I got plenty of free drink.
Do you? A brewery?
Yeah, I own Frothy Brewing.
I didn't know
Over
that.
in West Ashley. Yeah, we just opened up our second location in Somerville.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're not operating that, right? You got operating partners?
No, I've got 3 original partners, and then I came in and invested in a partner, and I let them run the show, and I just help with the marketing and the business side of it. Yeah. So we're just doing a big expansion right now in Somerville, so helping a lot with that because I live in Somerville.
I didn't realize that, man.
Yeah.
What other businesses you have?
So so the political business, then we have a corporate wing called Lawrence Group, which basically handles public relations and political for corporations. And then I got a short-term rental company called RISA, which is a Star Trek reference. But right now we've got 6 properties, and I'm trying to get that up to like 20 short-term rentals. Yeah.
Mostly beach properties?
Mostly beach, except for one little cottage in Somerville, but the rest of them on the beach.
Cool. No, man, I think that's cool. Yeah. Which shows you that the elements of business transcend industry, right? If you understand business, like Warren Buffett, right? He understands business. He goes from business to business to business, and there's marketing aspects, there's sales aspects, there's team, human resources, operations, processes, all that stuff. If you understand that side of things, you can go into any business and really dial in the widgets or whatever gadgets that they're selling.
That's right.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, once you figure out the nuts and bolts of running a business, it's just then learning about that specific vertical. And for me, man, I didn't, like I said, I didn't go to school for business. My parents weren't entrepreneurs. I was never around real business owners or business leaders, which is why I joined this mastermind group that we're in, because I need to surround myself with people, because frankly, it's just all been trial and error for me. You know, watching videos, listening to podcasts, reading books, and then screwing up a lot, you know, but hopefully I can surround myself with smart people so that I'm screwing up a little less. They say smart people learn from other people's mistakes.
You think so,
so
right?
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think it's good, man. So like, tell me, on the political side, you started going in and you would help out with campaigns. You'd get you'd handle the marketing for those campaigns. Like, what does that look like behind the scenes for a lot of these politicians?
Yeah, people ask what we do. You know what a traditional marketing agency does, and we are a marketing agency for politicians, right? So anything you see that's like a public message, we're handling. So we're like a PR firm and a marketing agency wrapped up in one. So, when they're giving speeches, we're writing those kind of things. When they're knocking on doors, we're telling them what doors to knock on. But the stuff that I'm more excited about is the creative. I'm a creative by heart. Yeah. So the video ads you see on YouTube, display ads, social media ads, but then also television ads all come out of my shop.
Dude, how has social media just completely turned that whole industry on its head?
Well, I mean, it's not just the political campaigns, but it's the world in general.
Everything. Right? That's how everybody gets their news now, right?
Well, but you see how divisive the country has become. Everything is political now. You talk about real estate or any business venture, every single thing is political. Yeah. And everything has become so divisive because of the internet. I was really naive in the beginning of this thing. I wanted to get into the internet side of politics because I truly thought this is an opportunity for the world to come together to solve the world's problems. You got the smartest minds, and someone in Charleston, South Carolina can connect with someone in Beijing, China, and come up with solutions to the problems, but that's not what happened. Yeah. Really, the exact opposite happened, where all it did was take the worst of humanity, throw gasoline on it, and really fracture us. So you see the country or the world we are today, and it's just become a mess.
Do you think it's going to get worse or better?
A whole lot worse.
Think so?
Yeah, I mean,
it'll be even more polarized?
Absolutely, man. I mean, you see what's going on during COVID. Don't want to jump into it too much, but that's just a prime example.
It's kind of exacerbated everything, right?
That's right. Every single issue, there's no middle ground anymore. You're either on the left or the right. And, it started with 24-hour cable news, and now it's because of Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. The world's becoming a shit show. And so it's just going to get worse.
So this week, this will drop this week also, but on Monday, Facebook and Instagram got shut down for the day. Yeah. How did that affect your business, your industry? Did you have to pause and step back and be like, oh shit? Look, dude, I heard a stat earlier today. 40% of businesses are 100% reliant upon either Facebook or Instagram to do their business. Yeah. Dude, can you imagine either one of those mediums shutting down and
they're screwed?
What do you do, right?
Yeah. So it
did that rock you guys at all?
No, not too bad, because look, luckily we're in an odd year, right? So we're not in the middle of election cycles. There are some off states, like Virginia, for example. But if this were to happen, say, a week before the election, that would be a mess for us.
Pretty jarring.
Right now, going down for 6-7 hours wasn't that big of a hit. Probably lost some political donations, but it wasn't anything that was horrible. The timing was pretty good for us, to be honest with you.
Dude, and I think it makes sense, man. Like, you guys control a lot of your list, though, too, right? You guys have the emails, you guys have all the contact information, all the names and phone numbers and everything else. And there's a lot of people who don't have that. They just rely on social media, and they haven't extracted that contact information from social media to be able to then go and put it into an email list or cross-pollinate different social media mediums.
Yeah, so it's all a data game for us. I mean, at the heart of what we do, it's data, right? So it's analyzing data to be able to segment voters. Yeah. Because look, you don't talk to everybody as if they're the same, right? You don't talk to a white man entrepreneur in his 30s the same way you talk to a 55-year-old African-American female, right? They're two different audiences. They rely on two different kind of messages. So what we really do is we take all that data, we really chop it up, find universes of people that we can drive messages to, then we create those messages and drive it to them. So we don't rely on the data from Facebook or from Google. What we do is we team up with outside data partners that are taking basically everything you do all day. You're being tracked. You carry around a cell phone all day long. Every single activity, whether it's offline or online, is tracked. All that information is then sold to a data company, and then we buy the data from that data company, use all that data about you, mix it up, coming up with different algorithms, different formulas, and then drive messages to people.
Yeah, it's wild, dude.
It is wild.
It's wild, and if people really understood how they're being tracked, it's like Siri's not just listening to you when you say, "Hey Siri," right? Or "Hey Google," or "Hey," what's the other one? I can't remember. Yeah. But dude, they're listening all the time.
All the time. And even if they're not listening, they're tracking.
Dude, it's called deja vu marketing or something, right? Like where it's the passive listening that they're still doing, trying to pick up keywords, and then you see messages and marketing ads for whatever you just talked about. Oh, I was just thinking about on Instagram I need to do this, that, or whatever, and all of a sudden the ads pop up. Dude, it's always listening to you. It's almost like, dude, it's creepy in a way that it should be illegal.
Well, so it's not just that. There's a lot of offline stuff that they're tracking too that you don't realize. So you know when you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on your email, Gmail, they're tracking. You know that for certain. I'll give you kind of a weird story, right? So I was training for a marathon. And when I'm training for a marathon, I'm running pretty fast, right? I'm running 7-minute miles, right? So I get served up these ads from an insurance company that says, hey, if you can run a 7-minute mile, you can save $500,000 on life insurance. Well, 6 months later, I'm training for an Ironman. And when you're training for an Ironman, it's about distance, so you're running a lot slower, right? So I go from running 7-minute miles to 9-minute miles. Then all of a sudden, the ads change. If you can run a 9-minute mile, you can save money on your life insurance. And I'm like, how the hell does it know my pace? My Garmin watch, you know, I track all my runs. It syncs with the app, and then Garmin sells my data to a data company, and that data company sells their data to a marketing agency like mine, who an insurance company hires, and then drives those ads to you. So isn't it weird that even when you're running, they're tracking that data? No matter what you do, they're tracking it.
People think that Garmin makes their money from selling Garmin technology. No, they sell the data. Same thing with Orange Theory. Orange Theory almost went out of business. They almost went bankrupt. And then somebody came in, they're like, oh, listen, we can sell everybody these heart rate monitors, make money on those, but more importantly, collect all the data and then sell it to life insurance companies, health insurance companies, all these nutraceutical companies, everything. And that's how they make all their money at Orange Theory. People have no idea.
I mean, what's important for your audience, though, is to say you should harness that information. Like, it sounds scary, but that is a tool in your toolbox that you should be using. And all you got to do, not necessarily my company, but any marketing agency can tap into that data and make all your stuff better. So if you're trying to sell a piece of real estate, you can really, really zero in, not just on an audience, but a specific message. You know, like, if you're scrolling down Facebook and you see all these ads, something that's interesting to you is going to pop out more. Okay, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. If an ad talks about Star Trek, I'm going to stop on it, no matter what. Right? But if you find these weird things that people are interested in and try to come up with creative, hey, Star Trek fans looking to buy a home? You know, that's probably never going to happen. But my point is, if you can find these really kind of niche data points, you can make your ads way more sophisticated and bump up your business.
So from a standpoint of ad creation, and I agree, I think it could be a remarkably powerful tool if used the right way. How many messages do you need, right? Like, how many demographics, if you're a political person, and you're essentially appealing to 45% of the population this way or 45% of the population this way based on whatever their political beliefs are, like, there's a lot of people who fall into that demographic. How many messages do you create? How niche do you make it?
For a large political campaign, hundreds. Literally hundreds. If
hundreds of demographics.
If it's a state senator, you know, I run all the state senators around here. You know, I'm running different ads to different demographics. I was running, you know, state senator has this entire coast, and I was running
different areas,
different ads to Folly Beach, Sullivan's Island, IOP, Edisto, and there was a tree issue on Isle of Palms, and I was running specific tree ads to the people on IOP. Sullivan's Kiowa cares about their not cougars, but some cat. I forgot what it is. It's a bobcats. You know, running bobcat ads to homeowners on Kiowa. But you know, another good example is
and then it seems like the political person is more engaged and knows what's going on in that community.
That's right.
But now there's buy-in.
Running ads about beach tree nourishment to Edisto. Another good example.
So what do you do? Do you search what's important to people on Kiowa, and you guys go through
research? So we do a lot of polling to figure out, because you know, this is really important in real estate. Everybody knows about all the national issues people are talking about. They're going to talk about Afghanistan. They're going to talk about COVID. They're going to talk about the border. They're going to talk about guns or abortion or whatever the hot ad is today. But hot issue is today. What people really, really care about is what's happening right at home. And you probably remember there's a big tree issue at IOP, and everybody was worked up last year about this tree issue. Everybody on Kiowa cared about saving those damn bobcats. So, you know, real estate is really about what's local, really diving in to figure out what are the local issues. Here in Charleston, it's traffic. Like, the top 5 issues might change. It might be Afghanistan and COVID today, but no matter what, traffic is always going to stay in the top 5 in the Charleston area, no matter what. But another cool way we used data is, you know, with Marco Rubio's campaign down in Florida. Florida's got a huge Hispanic population. And in the past, what would you do? You would just take English ads, you would translate them to Spanish, and boom, there's your ads.
Yeah.
But what you don't realize is that, you know, in Florida, you've got Cuban Hispanics, you've got Puerto Rican Hispanics, you got Mexican Hispanics, you got Argentine Hispanics, right?
Yep.
So what we would do is we would actually create ads for those specific communities, not just Spanish ads, but like a Puerto Rican Hispanic eats different food and dresses different and uses different slang than a Cuban Hispanic.
Yep.
So really developing messages specifically for your audiences of people. It's how you win in politics, but it's also how you win in marketing. Most of the time, people just don't take the time to do it.
Dude, the whole marketing world, and I'm a marketing major, but like they didn't teach me any of this stuff in college, right?
Because it wasn't there.
They taught me, hey, do you have an orange cap or a blue cap, and do people buy Tide or do they buy Gain? Or like, dude, it didn't matter. Like, it was a bunch of branding type stuff, a little bit of pricing type stuff, but none of this.
Yeah.
Which was 2000.
When we were in college.
Yeah, it was 2000. I was in college 03 to 07, so it would have been like just coming online. Facebook had just came online, but you realize, dude, there's so many data points. And I remember the story. Have you ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki?
Game changing.
Yeah, total amazing book on personal finance. And I think it's in the book or maybe some other thing that I read about Robert Kiyosaki. But he was speaking at a conference. And as he was speaking at this conference, he had become a best-selling author, right? A New York Times best-selling author, and had all this notoriety and speaking at all these different engagements and conferences and stuff. And he comes off stage at this conference, and a woman stops him in the back of the room. And she says, "Oh my goodness, you know, Robert Kiyosaki, it's such an honor to meet you. Like, I'm so, you know, amazed that you're a best-selling author on the New York Times. It's like my dream since I was a child. I'm an English major. I'm an English literature major. I have a PhD. I teach it at the college level and blah, blah, blah. Like, Robert, where did you learn how to write as well as you do to become a New York Times best-selling author?" He goes, "Pump the brakes, lady." He goes, "I'm not a best writing author. I'm a best-selling author," right? It's not about how good you do the craft. It's how can you package it? How can you market it?
Yeah.
How can you get it in front of the most amount of people?
That's right.
And that person will be the leader in that whatever that industry is, right? Like, and if you have good content, if you have good message, if you have a good product, then guess what? It's going to keep you there longer. You'll have more staying power. But dude, you can get to the front of the line pretty quickly if you are just a rock star marketer.
That's right. A good storyteller. It's a good story. I mean, the whole point of that book about being wrapped up in the Rich Dad Poor Dad story probably wouldn't have worked if he didn't have that parable.
Right.
A lot of people say, "Oh, that didn't really happen. He made it up." Doesn't matter. It's a great story. That's what hooks people.
Agreed. So do you guys? How does storytelling? How does that tie into like what you guys do and the messages that you guys convey? Is that what you guys always try to tell stories?
Yeah.
It's not selling facts, it's telling stories, right?
Yeah, I mean, like a really good example right now that we're working on is Herschel Walker. He's running for U.S. Senate in Georgia.
Okay.
It's probably it'll be the biggest race of the year. But it's just about telling Herschel's story. You know, Heisman winning running back from UGA, but telling that story of someone who was, you know, brought up in poverty and really just worked his ass off to become what he became the best running back in American college football history, and then becomes this, you know, baller entrepreneur now running for U.S. Senate. But it's just wrapping that all up, telling that story of how awesome this man is and how he can change the country. Not trying to sell him here on your video or anything, but it's a story we're telling
his
right
message
now. But he's got a great story, and a lot of candidates don't have that story, and we're really lucky with him to have one that's so badass.
When you sit down with, like, how do you extract those stories? Like,
well, we were lucky with Herschel. He's a little different because you can just go on YouTube and you can find all those stories. But most of the time,
are you looking for that Cinderella story? Are you looking for that underdog story?
Yeah.
When I see the movies and the like personally, right? Every single one of the messages I've ever had on social media that was me overcoming an obstacle and then achieving at some high level, where it was buying my beach house or getting hit in the face with a golf ball or buying my mountain house or buying the island, or like, dude, those all have the biggest amount of engagement.
That's right.
Because I tell the Cinderella story, right? And I don't know if it's because of that or whatever, but I think a lot of it, people like to see the underdog. They like to see the person who's underrated, who's overlooked, and has to go through a lot of the adversities in order to overcome something, in order to achieve something great. And I think, dude, that whole storyline is really, really powerful, dude, for people who can tell it in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your story in particular, it gives people motivation, because what happens is that people, you know, growing up, you can see a TV show like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. You know, it's just big when I was like a real little boy.
Yeah.
And you're disconnected from those people. You're like, oh, I will never be able to have that private jet or have that beach house. But when you tell that story, people have something in common with you. They're like, well, shit, I go through a lot of hell. Tim went through a lot of hell, and he did it. Like, I could do it too. And I think that's what people really like about those kind of stories, especially about the underdog. You know, for me, I'm a welfare kid, man. I mean, I grew up in Section 8 housing off of Otranto in North Charleston. So people like to hear that story of like, oh man, that guy worked his ass off. He put himself through college bartending, and now he's running multiple companies. Because they look at it, they're like, well, shit, that kid's white trailer trash. If that white trailer trash kid can do it, then I can do it too.
That whole borrowed belief, man, right? Like, we all know what it's like to be bullied when we're on the playground. We all know what it's like to fall down and get our jeans dirty and look like an idiot at school, or like whatever that was, you know? When you relate to people, you become more relatable, right? When you tell those stories.
Yeah, it's hard to relate to, say, Donald Trump. I mean, he won, but it's hard to relate to someone who grew up in that kind of money.
From money, right, exactly.
It's hard to relate to the guy, right? But it's easy to relate to someone like Herschel Walker, who grew up poor and he really just worked his ass off to get where he was, because you could tell your kids, like, look, man, look where this guy was. And he did it, you can do it too.
And I think even if you, I'd say most people have overcome some sort of adversity in their life, but even if you didn't, you at least feel sympathetic towards that story. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And you still gravitate towards that story, even if you don't totally relate to it. So I think the storytelling is so powerful.
You might have something, you might not agree with him on politics at all, but you might look at the story and be like, that's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
you know?
At least he's a good human being, right? At least he can overcome obstacles, and you know, he knows how to push through adversity. And like, dude, that character trait alone, regardless of political platform or what he believes in or not, like, dude, I want that person to win.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't agree with anything Barack Obama did. I don't think I agreed with anything. I mean, but I loved his story and I respected the guy. Like, damn, look where he came from and what he did. Yeah, ain't half bad. If he could do it, anybody can do it.
Right, right. No, man, I think it's powerful. So, so the storytelling, I think that's something that we don't really talk about enough, and I think it's something that it really is the game changer.
That's all marketing is. Yeah, you tell a good story, you can win.
Yeah. Are there certain is there a certain framework that you follow in this storytelling?
It goes back to what you said about overcoming adversity. For me, it's I try to connect a candidate to people as much as I can, so they don't look completely out of touch. I mean, they got to have something in common where they can say, I can see myself being that person. Yeah. No, man, I think it's I think it's amazing. How have you taken those ideas in the media business, and how have you conveyed that into your brewery, and how are you working that into your short-term rentals? Yeah, look, marketing's marketing. You know, whether it's political marketing or you're marketing a brewery, it's all about, in my opinion, the biggest lesson I learned is how do you get a specific message to a specific audience of people, because people are different. Yeah. If there's one thing I try to explain to whether it's a political candidate or a corporation, everybody is different. And everybody has different motivations, right? They have different trigger points. How can you take a person, loop them into a group of people, and then drive a message to that group of people that will move?
And so I guess, kind of coming full circle to what I asked a little bit earlier, you're like, hey, you might need 100 different segments or niches. At what point does it become too cumbersome to have that many? Yeah. I met with a media company this morning, right? I'm thinking about doing more ad traffic and paid. I've always organically grown my following, my database, or not really my database, well, I guess my database too, yeah, but you know, my social media following, and it's just been organic growth, right? And so I just say one message, and it resonates with some people, and whatever. And hopefully it resonates with more people than it doesn't resonate with. And like when I send an email, I'm like, no, don't segment the list to buyers and sellers and investors. Just send it to everybody, because depending on timing, you could land in different, different inboxes and different times, and catch somebody who's only selling property. But guess what? They're also looking to passively invest, because once they sell, they want to invest with us or whatever. So I've never really segmented, but I understand the importance of that. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, when does it become too much, right? Like if I got 10,000 people on an email list, do I segment it into 3 groups? Do I segment it into 100 groups? Do I segment it into 8 groups? Like, I don't know. Like, have you found something that's a metric or?
Yeah, I mean, it's different.
Like, how do you guys quantify that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be different for a political candidate that's got $20 million to spend on marketing, and someone like you and I that only have $10,000 a month to spend on marketing, right? One of the guys in our group yesterday asked a question on Zoom about whether I should be concentrating on real estate or crypto or something different. And I didn't say this. I'm actually going to call them and recommend this. It's like, no, people are following you because they're interested in making money. Yeah. Like, overall, that's your thing. Yep. Like, whether it's crypto or real estate, it doesn't matter. You're making money. People are seeing you driving.
You're in the personal wealth, right?
You're wearing fancy watches, driving baller cars, hanging out with a hot girlfriend, living in a fancy apartment or house. People see you making money. They want to make money. They don't care which way. So that's your overall thing. But then you might have some sub-segments that might care about crypto or real estate more. So what I would talk about is making money, but then have your list segmented a little bit. So if you have a special piece of content you want to send just on real estate, you can email just the real estate people. Or people that care about crypto, you send them just the crypto message. But most messages are going to just be about making money that you segment to everybody. Yeah, I like that. Has there been some like curveballs thrown at you with people opting into lists, or like, how do you guys combat some of that stuff? Like, like the opponents. Like if you buy a list, right? If you buy a list of a bunch of email addresses, we don't typically. You can't just go and no, we don't shotgun out a bunch of messages. So what we do is you guys warm that up. We run email acquisition ads. So so you run ads, they opt in, so that way it's just clean and they're in this database right away. Yeah, for politics it might be like, click here and sign this petition if you want to build the wall. Sign here and if you want to stop vaccination mandates. Yeah. So people are opted in to these like hardcore conservative Republican lists. Yeah. But for someone like you, it might be more like financial based. Like, hey, live in Charleston, want to get rich? Follow me and I'll teach you how. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fascinating. Did you ever cross paths with Mark Evans? Because he does a lot of that stuff in that world too. No, which was funny because when I joined the group, Mark and Jeremy and Nate were all playing in that sandbox. Yeah. And when I came in and explained the infrastructure that I have, all 3 of them were like, why the hell are you not doing this? So they've all 3 been really helping me. So I'm about to build out my own email marketing side of this whole thing. And I know you were talking like, kind of there's feast and famine cycles based on it being an election year or not an election year. Why haven't you taken, this is a skill set that again transcends businesses. Why haven't you taken this and gone to guys like me? Like, I just met with a media company this morning, and they're like, it's going to be at least $10,000 a month. All right, I'm prepared to spend that. And actually, I understand how to quantify, review the metrics, and pour fuel on the fire if the return on investment's there, right? I understand that marketing directly correlates to revenue. And so, dude, if it's $100,000 a month, that's fine, as long as I'm generating enough of a yield on it to make it make sense. So, like, dude, what you're doing is probably in one of the most competitive atmospheres out there, right? Yeah. Let alone taking this and going and doing it for a friggin' bakery or for a real estate investor or anybody else. The simple answer is time. It's because I've been head down. So I created Push 12 years ago. I've been head down building this company, running this company for 12 years. I have finally, over the past year, got to a point where I can take a step back. Other people are running my company. Because he joined a mastermind. That's right. Because he joined a mastermind. Well, that's what gets you there. Well, it's true. And I joined the mastermind group because I'm now the dog that caught the car. Right? And I'm like, what the hell do I do with the car? Mm-hmm. I built an operation that I no longer have to run day to day. So now I'm trying to figure out what's next for me or what's next for the company. Really, it's not an or, it's an and. Yep. For personally, it's how can I build additional pipelines of income? And then for the company is how can I use the infrastructure that we have and go into other verticals, such as helping entrepreneurs. But it's simply because, man, I've just been in the grind for 12 years. And I think it's really wise to look at that, because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, and dude, all of us, right? We like building something from the ground up. Mm-hmm. We like, starting from scratch and bootstrapping something, and that's what like excites me. Yeah. And there's a lot of different opportunity that gets thrown my way just because of some of the visibility that I have on social media. And it's really hard for me to say no across the board. And now I'm saying yes to certain things, but only if it's in the vertical that I'm already familiar with, like crypto, right? Crypto, I want to get involved in crypto, but I'm involved in crypto in a way it's not just investing money, but I have a lot of investors who have cash,
that they're investing heavily into real estate and they know they want to throw some money at crypto. They don't know which coins to buy. They don't know, you know, dude, how to set up a wallet.
I have twice as many people call me about crypto than I do political campaigns or marketing right now.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody wants to know about it. And if you just put up a couple things on Instagram saying I made money on crypto, everybody's like, oh shit, well he knows something. You know,
which is more than what I know, which is nothing.
Yeah, right. And I think Austin said it best on our on that call yesterday. It's like, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I might be at a 6, but everybody else is at a 0. So I know more than the majority of the population. And the fact that we're invested at all means we know something.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody wants to know about it.
For sure, and it's a very complex space. I mean, if you ask somebody to like explain cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology behind it and everything, like very, very few people can actually explain what that is.
Right.
But everybody they know that the upside potential is far greater than the downside risk. So they're willing to throw 100 grand, 50 grand, 250 grand at it because if they lost that, not excited about losing it, but the upside potential or the loss or the missed opportunity of what it could turn into. Like realistically, dude, you could 100x your investment in 5 to 10 years. 100x, not a 100% return and double your money. I'm talking 100x your money. Like you can't get that in real estate, right? It's wild. So, or in any other industry. And so, you know, it's one of those things where I think it's really important to stay inside your line. I'm not trying to be the guru that's the cryptocurrency guru, but hey, if you make money in crypto, how can you pull that out and have tax advantages by investing in commercial real estate? Let me be that guy.
That's
right? How can you passively invest into a fund, just like you passively invest in my real estate fund, passively invest into my crypto fund, and I'll deploy the money for you. You have all the upside gains. I only get paid after you double your money, essentially, is kind of my strategy. And I'll probably tokenize my syndications eventually and allow a little bit more flexibility and lower investments and liquidity to people investing. But it's kind of like what you were saying. How do you stay inside that vertical? I think it's such an easy vertical. Instead of you starting new businesses, I think it's such a good vertical for you to take a look at. How can I take my
I've got a badass infrastructure.
Your infrastructure and what you can do on top of any business. Any of them.
I've been really thinking about it a lot, man. It's just, like I said, I'm just now being able to come up for air and trying to figure this out. And surrounding that's the reason I joined this mastermind group, because I got to surround myself with other people doing these kind of big things, or I'm never going to figure it out. And because I think, you don't just naturally have that in a community. And none of my friends are doing this kind of thing. I don't know anybody that's building businesses. So you got to surround yourself with people that are just doing bigger things and thinking at a different level.
For sure, man. And as Wesley was talking about how important it is to get in the right rooms with the right people and be part of a mastermind group, I'd love to extend an invitation to you to join my Legacy Boardroom Mastermind. It is the highest value mastermind. It's like a board of directors for your business that's available 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year to help advise you on everything from marketing and sales to operations to raising capital and staying SEC compliant and any business law type stuff, human resources, business strategy, all of that stuff all combined. And we have some big events. We actually have our next big summit taking place in Orlando. It's going to be off the wall. We'll have over 200 people there. We're going to be learning all the different things about business, branding, mindset, strategy. We're going to be talking crypto. We're going to be talking real estate. We're going to be talking about all these things. I have amazing speakers, including Steve Forbes, owner of Forbes magazine. Dude's a billionaire. He's coming out and speaking at the event. And then we're going to break by about 4 o'clock, hang out, and we have a bunch of fun social activities, amazing networking. We're going to have a ton of fun. As much as you learn, you're going to have even more fun with the people in the group. People who are lighting the world on fire and doing some amazing things, making big impact. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, you got to check out legacyboardroom.com and watch the video for 15-20 minutes of me explaining what Legacy Boardroom is. If you're interested in plugging in, would love to have you. Extend an invitation to you to join our mastermind, legacyboardroom.com. And then if you're interested, just follow that whole process. You can get signed up right there online, and we'd love to see you in Orlando in November. It's just it's my dad always says it's lonely at the top, not saying like only for rich people it's lonely or this type of person. Dude, it's lonely being owning your own business.
Oh God!
Yeah. I don't care if you got 1 employee, no employees, or 100 employees. It's lonely at the top. You are at the top if you are the owner of your business.
Right.
And it's very difficult to have conversations with friends, with family, with employees, with other people that know you. Like, to get outside of that circle and be able to go and be like, dude, there's something I'm dealing with, Wes. Like, give me your feedback on this. You know, like it's a breath of fresh air. It takes you from being isolated on an island to actually having some camaraderie and being able to talk at a high level, you know?
You gotta have it, man. It's like having counseling.
It is, right? It is.
Because the other thing is, people don't really talk about is, when you're an entrepreneur, your business and your personal life are too intertwined. There's no separation, right? And only an entrepreneur knows that.
Yeah.
Right?
What do you do? Put the phone down. We're at a barbecue. Yeah. But guess what? It's going 100 times.
Because think about
100 miles an hour.
Whatever's happening in your business is going to impact your marriage.
Yeah.
Whatever's happening in your marriage is impacting your business.
Yeah.
And only people like you and I understand that kind of thing. So you gotta have a group of people that you can talk to about those kind of things.
For sure, man. For sure. I think there is so much potential. I don't think there's any other. I think there's 2 industries that matter, right? Maybe a third. I think the 3 most important industries and skill sets that you could potentially develop, one is raising money, right? And we talked a little bit about this offline of like, if you can control the money, you can control, and you will always be in demand, right? It doesn't matter what industry you go to, it doesn't matter what the market cycle is looking like, what the economy looks like, what country you're in, what industry you're in. If you can raise money, you will always be an in-demand skill set.
That's right.
Right? I think another one is exactly what you're doing. Like the marketing side. I think if you can drive traffic, if you know how to get eyeballs on you, and you can put this message or this product or this whatever in front of other people, it gets the exposure, and there's a direct correlation of marketing is an investment. Dude, like it is. You will see 100%. A return on your investment every single time. That's and then the third one would be like if you're really, really good at personnel. Like I think about my buddy Scott Hannes, who understands human resources inside and out, and how to put the right people in the right seats and create organizational structures and processes and all that kind of stuff. Where, dude, I think those 3 skill sets are 3 of the most important skill sets you could possibly have.
You nailed it.
So, but like I think about you, and I'm like, dude, you can go into any business, any industry, and friggin' crush, bro.
I just got to figure out what's next. You know, when you're running these political campaigns, you're just so freaking busy.
Yeah.
And now I finally can come up from there, and I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's not a big pivot. I think there's industries that don't really have that much money, right? You go to a gym owner who makes $50,000 a year, they're not going to be able to deploy a bunch of cash to you, right? Or somebody who owns a Subway franchise that makes $40,000, $30,000 a year. Like, you will, but I mean, dude, you're rubbing elbows with a bunch of guys in the real estate industry.
I think there's a lot
a bunch of guys in the car industry around here. Like, there's some industries that people who are making a lot of money and can deploy 10, 20, 30 grand a month with you, no problem.
It's a smart idea.
Dude, and I think there's so much potential for you there.
I'm gonna do it.
No, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's cool to think about. So, what is the next 24 to 36 months look like? Like, what's the biggest hurdle that you're facing right now, and what are you trying to push past? Is it what is the next step?
Look, a few hurdles got going on right now. Obviously, next year is an election year. So I still play the role as chief sales guy. I'm still on airplanes selling. Yeah. We've got to the point now, once I bring him in, the team handles it, and I don't have to do a lot. Even that big race in Georgia, I'm not having to touch much. My president, Phil, is handling that. So still doing a lot of biz dev, have to be on some airplanes a little more than I want. I got a book that I'm writing that I got to finish. Almost done.
Dude, let's talk about that. Like, that was the main thing that was the impetus of why we're sitting down. Yeah. And then we got into all this other stuff. So
I gotta finish the book, man.
Dude, let's talk about that. Yeah. So I saw the covers. The one with the fire burning the pages is the best one for sure.
I think that's where I'm going.
Yeah, got to go with that one. It looks so good because it's under fire, right? Yeah. So it's literally you're under the fire and the cover's on fire. It looks badass.
Thanks.
If I just saw that on a newsstand, I would totally pick it up.
Awesome.
Which is important, right? It's the marketing side. That's all that matters, the message. And then the content's, I'm sure, fire too. So give me the background on this book. Why did you want to write this book?
Yeah, so Under Fire is going to be all about tackling cancel culture and other public relations disasters. That's all politics is.
Which is what you're doing.
All day, every day. It's a PR disaster. Someone stepped in shit. But a lot changed for my company when we picked up SeaWorld about 6 years ago. They were under fire by PETA for the Blackfish documentary. I'm sure you saw it was a big deal. And my company saved SeaWorld. And since then, a lot of corporations and a lot of other public officials have called us saying, hey, I'm getting canceled. I've stepped in a giant pile of crap. Can you help us? So we have a podcast called Under Fire, which every week we talk about what is the latest PR disaster. And I decided that I would take all those lessons and put them in a book. So nobody has really tackled this cancel culture issue. Even I have been under fire and on the front page of the Post and Courier for 2 days whenever they try to cancel me for some things.
That's awesome.
So I'm trying to take all these personal lessons, these lessons from politics, these lessons from helping corporations like SeaWorld, put them in a book and say, hey, when you're under fire, here's not necessarily step by step because every situation is different, but here are some rules, here are some guidelines you can follow.
Yeah, some framework at least.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that's going to be amazing. I think that's going to appeal to anybody from, like it's such a hot topic right now, is this cancel culture where everybody's walking on eggshells.
That's right.
They don't know what to say, how to say it, what they can say, and what setting, and all this, dude, and it's like...
and it's not a matter of...
It's so aggravating. It's like, how do you navigate this stuff?
It's horrible, man, but it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you get in trouble. You know, we're in our mastermind group, and everybody's talking about, you got to get out there, you got to market more, you got to put out more content, you got to interact on social media. But every time you're putting out a piece of content, you can say something stupid. Yeah. You can accidentally offend someone, you can say something racist that you didn't know was racist, say something sexist that you didn't realize was sexist, insult the gay community because you didn't know that was an insult. You're going to step on your own, your own dick without even really realizing you're doing it. In a lot of ways. Sometimes people are just being offensive assholes, right? But a lot of times it's just an accident. You slip up. And what do you do once you slip up? And so I'm trying to provide that framework.
Give me a couple of the the 1, 2, 3 steps of like a couple things you gotta be aware of if you go down that road and you find yourself in that situation. Like what are a couple of quick things that you gotta pay attention to?
So
diffuse.
The first chapter is all about mental preparation. It's about being mentally tough. The people that really falter and screw up and make things worse when they're in a crisis are people that are mentally weak. So I talk a lot about stoicism, I talk a lot about meditation. I even talk a lot about endurance events, of embracing the stuff, getting your mind to a point that whenever that crisis hits, you're mentally ready to go through some shit. Soft people fail every single time. They freak out and make everything worse. You gotta stay calm. It's all about staying calm. Second chapter is all about having your team in place. A lot of time a crisis is going to hit, you got to respond in like 5 minutes. You got to know immediately. I'd say it's a lot like a fire plan for your house. Not only should you have a plan, but you need to practice that plan with your family. Like if a fire pops out at your house at IOP, who's grabbing the kids? Who's grabbing the pets? Who's grabbing the safe with the cash and the will and all that stuff in it, right? How are you going to get the kids out of the house really quick? So having that plan in place and practicing that plan, but every corporation has to do the exact same thing. If our CEO gets pulled over for a DUI tonight, who's in place and what are we going to do?
That's a great point.
And then I got a lot more lessons in there.
How do you set that up? Like how would you put that plan in place? Who do you sit down with to consult on something like that?
So I think you need to have an outside person.
I would think so, right?
The biggest problem in a crisis is that you can't see the forest through the trees. Meaning you're so close to it that you either think the world's falling apart and it's worse than I think it is, or, oh, it's okay, and nobody really cares. That was the situation SeaWorld was in. SeaWorld was like, oh, we're SeaWorld, we saved whales. Nobody's gonna believe this. They were too close to the situation. So you really got to have outside help, people that can see it. And I was about to talk about this earlier when we were talking about branding. I'm really bad at my own personal branding. Like, I haven't been able to figure out my own stuff because I'm too close to it. I can't see myself the way everybody else sees it. Which is why I think it's important that you're talking to an outside marketing company. Like, it's hard for you to see yourself the way other people see you. The same thing happens in a crisis, man. You've got to have people that can see the entire scenario and not just you in the weeds. Like, I'm honestly having a hard, I was going to call Mark about it, like, I'm having a hard time with my branding. Like, who am I? What do I want to say? Dude, like, I'm all over the place.
I think one of the things I've done in the past is like, you can go on WUFO, WUFOO, and create a survey, and just make up a survey asking a bunch of questions. Probably the same kind of questions that you ask to people about your candidates, right?
It's just when you're
and send it out to the 10 people who know you the best. People who work with you, family members, people from the mastermind. Send it to 10, 20, 30 people and see how they respond. And I don't know if you can make it where it's like private or whatever, or anonymous.
I've done it before. I haven't done it for myself, and I need to. So I need to take the advice I give candidates, but it's like the cobbler whose kid had no shoes, or the plumber with the leaky pipes. When you're working on everybody else's, you don't work on yours enough.
Yeah. No, I think, dude, you do that, and you got a great brand, right? You dress the part, you look the part, you're running the marathons. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that you have going on where people can relate to you, your story, the vibe that you have, and a lot of the marketing stuff that you do. And dude, I think you're ripe for a lot of really amazing things that are going to be coming down the pipeline over the next 2-3 years, bro.
I appreciate it, man.
So
I just got to surround myself with guys like you, man.
Well, dude, we got to get together more often. We got to go get a steak and
Shit, I'm
go up
around.
the street.
You know, especially when I get down here in a couple of months, I'll buzz you more. Because I'll be able to just, hang out and get drinks and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I typically post up at Holes at least once a week.
Yeah, well, we're going to make it happen, dude.
Hanging out with all those old rich guys over there.
Let's make it happen.
All right,
good to have you here, homie. Awesome episode with Wesley. Appreciate him sitting down with us and spending a little bit of time together. Got to learn a lot about his business, just like you guys did. And I just like where these conversations lead, right? Like, it's not scripted. It's not anything that we, say what we're going to talk about beforehand. We just kind of let the conversation roll. And this is what we talk about whenever I sit down with other entrepreneurs. We grab coffee and we talk shop. So hopefully you guys got to be kind of a fly on the wall and see exactly how that conversation unfolded. If you got some takeaways from it, comment below. Put whatever your biggest takeaway was, or kind of an epiphany that you came across, and comment below. I'd love to see what you guys have going on and how maybe you could take a couple of these things and implement it into your business as well. So again, appreciate you guys. Please hit the like button. Comment below, subscribe, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and please share this and share it with somebody else who's going to get some value out of it. Until next time, see you on Spill the Beans next week.